the Alt Funds Investment Podcast explores those making investments in the alternative asset landscape, as well as the vendors who service these funds. We provide resources for emerging managers and insights for those in the alternative fund space. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions.
Welcome to the Alt Fund Investment Podcast. My name is Mike Schroeder. Today we're here with Eddy Sfeir of BlockFills. BlockFills is a digital asset prime broker. Work with many different institutions in the space. We'll get into some of the specifics, but Eddy, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mike. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you. So to start off the conversation, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to BlockFills.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start all the way back real quick. I was born and raised in Lebanon, came to the States when I was 18, and then did a master, undergrad in math and computer science, and then did my master's in financial engineering, which led me to a Wall Street career. Started in 2008 in foreign exchange trading, so foreign exchange options trading, traded at Deutsche Bank for 10 years, traded at Credit Suisse for 3 years, all within FX options. And essentially got really interested in Bitcoin and crypto in 2020, went down the rabbit hole, read books, invested money, and made the switch full-time in 2021. So just about a year ago full-time, which isn't that long, but to me, it feels like it's been 3 or 5 years already. BlockFills has actually quite a few ex-Deutsche Bank people, lots of connections there in Chicago. I moved to Chicago from New York about a year ago. So it was a bit of a match made in heaven, and I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, well let's go back to 2008. What was it like trading options, FX options in 2008? Obviously, great financial crisis happened around that time. What was it like?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I'm lucky I got a job because I did my internship in 2007, and then they decide if they give you a full-time job or not, and the market was already starting to be a little iffy. But got the full-time job, and when I started in 2008, obviously, as you alluded to, is the financial crisis. And, as a junior person on the desk, there just isn't much you can do, right? I remember some of the days where stocks would be down 10%, right? And I was just a junior, like literally week 2 on the desk. And you just sit there and try to help in any way you can. Obviously, I wasn't trading back then. You don't trade right away. It takes few months. For some, it takes a year to get your own book and start trading. But honestly, it was like just being thrown into the fire. And I experienced all of that again last year when I jumped to crypto, where it's like you're breathing from a fire hose. There's just so much going on and so much information to take in. But yeah, 2008 for me wasn't crazy because I was so junior, right?
Yeah.
But if I had been in the market for 2 or 3 years already, you're probably either looking at being let go, or you have to be a superstar, but then you're probably having a very stressful life for a few months. But yeah, so that was kind of the experience I had.
Interesting. And now your job is full-time sales with BlockFills, correct?
Correct. So I did make the decision when I moved into crypto to take a break from trading, if you will, and just expand my skill set and do something I haven't done before and take on a new challenge. Well, crypto by itself is a new challenge, but I wanted to do business development and sales. I work very closely with the traders, of course, given my background, but I am in more of a sales and strategic partnership and business development role, correct? Yeah.
So what was that transition for you like, and why why crypto? Why did you move from the traditional market to the crypto market? What was the attraction for you?
Yeah, look, it's a two-sided answer. On one hand, I have been doing the job for 13 years, tier 1 banks, and honestly, European banks not having a great time. The Deutsche Banks, the Credit Suisses, the UBS. So Credit Suisse, for lack of better words, was a bit of a shit show when I was there. But more importantly, I picked up a book called The Basics of Bitcoin and Blockchains by Anthony Lewis in December 2020. And it was like an aha moment that I had, where I'm like, I believed in the technology, I believed in the moral side of things. Just the whole thing kind of made sense to me. And I was so angry that I didn't read that book 5 years before, because I would have probably had the same conclusion. Regardless, after reading that book, I read 4 more books, got into the details, the programming bit on Ethereum blockchain, and it all, I was just so immersed in it that I felt the need to move over. I felt like this was the next big thing, and I wanted to be part of it. So really, it was a bit of not so happy with the current banking system and working at a tier 1 bank and this new kid on the block. Well, to me, new crypto, it'd been around for 10 years already, but to me, it was new. And so that combo was, I made the decision relatively quickly, within 3 months, which after a 13-year career, leaving a relatively well-paid job and save, it's not easy decision to do, but I was done and out, and I was ready to take on the next chapter.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And there's definitely a lot of people that want to break into the crypto space. So, definitely cool to just see it happen. Someone like yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about your business at BlockFills at a high level and specifically what you guys do?
Sure. So BlockFills, honestly, the way I like to explain what we do is like a mini investment bank in crypto. So we have so many different verticals, and I'll be quick. One of them is the trading arm. We trade spot, we trade perpetuals and futures, we trade derivatives, so options, which is kind of my wheelhouse. Another vertical is a lending borrowing business. So we have a pretty active lend borrow book. Now it's been the action has been curtailed a bit given what happened the last couple of months, but we're still doing deals only secured. We don't deal with unsecured loans. A third and very important arm for us is the mining side of things. So we are a very big player when it comes to the financing of Bitcoin mining equipment. We have our own mining machines that are mining Bitcoin on a daily basis, and we have very deep connection with the mining community. And one more thing I'll touch on is SaaS. So we have built, over the 4 or 5 years we've been in existence, a front, middle, back office system for crypto. And we white label that and we sell that to institutions. So that's kind of how I would explain us very quickly.
So you mentioned like trading spot, perpetuals, futures. There's a lot wrapped up there. It really is, very similar to, traditional prime brokerage service.
Yeah.
In terms of the offering, so you guys on your platform trade spot, perpetuals, and futures. Is this allowed for U.S. clients as well? So maybe a U.S. fund that's looking to set up, could they trade perpetuals and futures on your platform?
That's a very good question. Yes, we have 750 clients in 50 different countries. And of course, the United States is one of them and one of our main areas. We're headquartered in Chicago. We've got employees in Texas, in New York, in New Jersey. We have an office in London. But yes, clients of ours can trade with us in 3 different ways. One of them is OTC on a Telegram chat, the old school phone call. One of them is on a GUI. We have a couple platforms where you can go point and click, buy and sell. And the last one, actually majority of our clients, is on API. So you connect on a fixed API and you trade electronically with us. But absolutely, American institutions can trade with us. And one last point is we only deal with institutions. We do not have retail clients. We're an institution-only focused firm.
Good stuff. And in terms of like other regions, are you guys seeing a lot of activity in other regions beyond the United States? So maybe Europe or South America? Kind of what does that look like?
Yes. So my background, actually, when I traded foreign exchange, I was focused on LATAM. So Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico. And believe it or not, this is one of our biggest areas of focus here at BlockFills. I was in Brazil last week with the CEO, Nick Hammer, and we had 18 client meetings in 4 days. So there's a lot going on in LATAM, in Brazil, specifically, given how active they are in finance as a whole. They have a massive hedge fund community. And the clients range from miners to crypto native funds to traditional hedge funds, fund of funds, family offices, banks. I can't name any, but some of maybe the largest bank is already doing crypto. So in Brazil, I mean, there's so much opportunity in Latin America for us that it's key to our success going forward. Europe, Asia, of course, now Dubai is a hotspot for the link, between Europe and Asia. So some of us will be going to Dubai in November. I'll be at Digital Asset Summit in London. Of course, Europe is very important to us, with Zurich, Zug, a bit of a crypto capital of Switzerland, France, the UK. I mean, there's so much going on in the whole world, really.
Awesome. So very global. And one of the things that's interesting to me, because you mentioned there's so much happening in South America, El Salvador has, lack of a better word, legalized Bitcoin as legal tender. Do you see that happening in other regions?
Excellent question. I see a world where in 5 to 10 years' time, Bitcoin will be used as legal tender in many countries. I do. Such as El Salvador, such as where I'm from, Lebanon, where our currency has been pegged to the United States dollar for decades, and it depegged a couple of years ago, and it's devalued by about 25x, 20 to 25x devaluation. So,
wow.
And now there's full-on capital controls in Lebanon, just like capital controls in Argentina. And so the Bitcoin model, whether it's Bitcoin or another XYZ cryptocurrency that becomes legal tender, I don't know. But I do see a world where countries with poor financial systems do adopt some type of cryptocurrency as legal payment, just like what El Salvador is doing. El Salvador is very brave. They're the first ones to do it. They're probably too early, but hey, it's a stepping stone, right?
Yeah, definitely. Really, really interesting to see what's happening there. So in terms of, typical clients that use your service, and, we can talk about wherever you want to take this, but specifically for like funds, what type of like size fund does it make sense for, assets they're trading? You kind of covered already. Who's a typical client?
Sure. So typical clients, honestly, it's a wide variety. And I'll list a few. Miners, we have very deep relationship with miners. The way we work with miners is we actually finance some of the hardware that they need to buy. But more importantly, it's a partnership. We're looking to work with them to show them options, hedging strategies for the Bitcoin or the ETH that they're mining, right? To give them structured products, to hedge their flows, right? And give them better treasury management. Hedge funds, active traders, prop shops, OTC desks. We have extremely deep liquidity in spot, in our CFD, our contracts for difference, which is we gather liquidity from 20 different liquidity providers, and you, the client, get to see all of that in one place. So for any active traders that want to trade high frequency, 100 trades a day, or the medium frequency traders that have more size to do and want to do 5 or 10 or $20 million clips at once, this is all very doable with us and super easy to do and streamlined. We talk to fund of funds. We talk to family offices. I mean, it's really almost anyone that's involved in finance in one way or the other and wants to deal with crypto, we will have a solution for them. And in terms of the products and services, again, I've listed some of them, but it could be from a lend-borrow deal to trading a derivative to white labeling our front, middle, back office tech solutions. I mean, really, it's a very wide spectrum that we target.
That makes sense. And with the, you highlighted liquidity there. Could you dive a little bit deeper into that? Are you guys connecting to other exchanges to get this liquidity, or how does that aspect work?
Very good question, Mike. So we are connected to the top exchanges, but most importantly, the top OTC liquidity providers. And I can't really name many, but it's the big guys that are on the street that everybody knows. We're plugged into all of them. So when you think of my order book, it's the amalgamation of 20, 30 different order books all in one place. And the key thing here is that when the markets are volatile, when Bitcoin is crashing 10%, a lot of our competitors or a lot of the single name exchanges, the prices stop. They go offline. We hear this all the time from our clients that when you need to sell or to buy, when you need it to most, there's no bid or there's no offer. With us, it's almost impossible for that to happen. You'd need 20 or 30 different providers to all
route us somewhere else,
go offline at the same time, which is literally never happens, right? And so that's one great advantage of trading with someone like ourselves versus trading with a simple name. You're just diversifying, right? You're getting access to 20. It's like you just onboarded with 20 different counterparties by onboarding just with one. Yeah,
that's really interesting. So I'm kind of curious of like what the future of exchanges look like, because it doesn't sound like, it sounds like it's definitely consolidating. What does the competitive landscape look like? Are there other providers like this? Other prime brokers in the space, and how does BlockFills, differentiate? I think you covered a lot of that, but how do you guys specifically differentiate yourself?
Yeah, no, we definitely have competitors, right? I mean, pretty much any firm does, whether it's FalconX or SFox or Talos perhaps, and each, I guess, has their pros and cons. Let me start with exchanges. So my view on exchanges in the long term is that their business will dwindle down because the institutional, they're focused mainly on retail. And there's always going to be retail flows, but I truly believe that just like foreign exchange, just like equities, crypto will become an asset class of itself that is traded heavily by institutions. And I don't think exchanges, in fact, we get this feedback from our clients all the time, exchanges today are not set up properly to service institutions. Now, in terms of the advantages trading with BlockFills versus trading one of our competitors, honestly, the one thing I want to point out is our white glove type of service. When you try to talk to someone at BlockFills, you're getting an answer within minutes, 24/7 coverage around the clock, right? Our technology has been built and refined over the last 4 or 5 years by some of the experts in the industry. And whether you're talking about a lending borrowing deal or trading in options or a structured product or spot, you're talking to people who have done this in traditional finance for decades and are now doing it in crypto. And no offense to the young crypto big shots that have made money and this is great, but it's a very different conversation than talking with someone like our co-founder, Gordon Wallace, who was the head of Deutsche Bank derivatives in the late 90s. I mean, it's just gaining experience, right? It takes time to gain experience. It takes years. So we have so much experience at the firm. Again, not all of it in crypto, but so much can be transported into the crypto space, which makes it so much easier to talk to our clients and for them to understand this.
Yeah. That's awesome. Definitely really cool to see just more traditional institutions getting into the crypto space like that. Let's talk about the execution side. So, you mentioned BlockFills provides the ability to execute these trades. Why would somebody choose to execute these trades? And, how do you guys go about that?
Sure. So in terms of execution, again, let me focus a little bit on spot. Your choices are you go to a Coinbase or a Binance, right? And you're trading with one dealer. You're trading with one exchange, that's retail. If you're an institution and you want best execution, which is actually a term that's very familiar in traditional markets, but not so familiar in crypto, where my sole job is to try and get you the best price out there. This is why I exist. I'm getting you best X, right?
Yeah, so this would be like maybe going like either OTC a lot of times, or maybe even running like VWAP algorithms type of deal.
Yeah, exactly. So whether it's OTC or you're running your own algos, we have so many clients that come from different markets. So one of my clients in Brazil, it trades power, energy. And they have their algos, and they've ported over their algos, and putting them to work in crypto, and the returns are insane. They back tested and it was 30x over the last 4 years, which is crazy. And so we're going to see a lot more of that happening, where the traditional folks who trade trillions and trillions of dollars a day in assets, in all the equities and FX and rates and credit, coming to crypto because it's a high vol currency. The market's nowhere near saturated. Spreads are still decent for people like us, but also the market moves enough where if you have algos that's working, it's gonna make decent returns. And there's still arbitrage going on. Arbitrage between different time zones, arbitrage between different exchanges, between this future and that future. I mean, there's just so much. It's still, in its infancy, really. Bitcoin's been around for 10 years, I get it, but the market's still in its infancy. I believe. We're at the, if I had to compare it to a baseball game, we're at the, we're still in the first inning. Maybe towards the end of it, but we're in the first inning.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just getting started. I noticed you guys also do some work with different banks and custodians. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and what you guys are doing there?
Yeah, sure. So we, since day one, we wanted to have a very robust infrastructure. And so our main custodian is Fireblocks. I think we were the second or third customer of Fireblocks back in 2018 when they started. Now we know how big they are. We work with Copper as well. We're trying to integrate more. We're not a custodial ourselves. We just use these custody providers to custody our clients' assets. With banks, we're connected to Silvergate, we're connected to Customers Bank, we're connected to Bank Prob, we're connected to Signature Bank on Signet. So all the big names we have connections to, right? So again, we never have any problems when we talk to our clients in terms of, hey, who are you connected to? Where can we send you fiat from? Where can you send crypto from? So all the on-off ramps, it's all very streamlined and smooth. And with some banks, we actually provide them our services too, meaning hedging strategies, again, derivatives, because that's kind of my wheelhouse, right? A lend-borrow deal, where we've done lend-borrow deals with banks, and we're going to see more and more of that. And I'm talking the big banks, the big guys, the Goldmans, the Deutsche Banks, the Morgan Stanleys. They're all coming. They're all coming. And we have discussions with all of them, right? It's just a matter of time, setting a precedent, educating their legal and compliance teams about the asset class. They will start small, but small for them is big. And so I think 2023 will be the year of the big tier one banks coming into the space.
And what type of assets are they touching? Are they clients using these services? Are they touching Bitcoin? Are they touching, or with these banks, are you guys kind of integrating stable coins? What does that look like?
Yeah, so for the big players, it's obviously you just start with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Nobody wants to touch the alts, right? So I don't see, as much as I'd like the altcoin market to evolve, especially in derivatives and options, that's going to take a while, because we do need the liquidity from the big players that are probably not going to touch it for a while. And they're just going to do, as you alluded to, the majors. By majors, I mean Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, Circle. That's pretty much it.
Regarding trading venues and prime brokerage services, what advice would you give to a new fund entering the crypto space? What do they need to know about trading services and about execution and prime broker?
Sure. I mean, that's a great question. And look, there's so many firms out there already in the crypto space that can provide execution and services. But the one thing I would say is, for someone entering the space, is maybe don't get so hung up on, hey, how many basis points are you charging? What's your fees? I think that's secondary. That's important. You want to get a good price. But again, you come to us, you trade with us. We're getting you best execution. This is why we exist. But I would be much more focused on the team, the people, their background. What have they done? Have they worked in finance in the past? Are they crypto native? Is everybody crypto native? Are half of them crypto native? This is very important to me. Who are you actually talking to? Who's doing the work, right? And the type of service you're going to get. And, without naming someone specific, but one of the largest exchanges, we always hear negative feedback from our clients that, hey, yeah, when something's not working, we send them an email, good luck. You get an email 2 weeks later. With us, it's a white glove type of service. You're getting an answer within minutes, max an hour. And we're taking all the client feedback into account. We're still nimble enough to be able to change things on the fly. And so these are a couple of things that really I would focus on. But number one for sure is the team itself. And not, hey, well, let me go trade with XYZ because they're worth $8 billion. Well, we all saw what happened 2 months ago. And some of the biggest firms that were much bigger than us do not exist anymore or are getting bailed out. We're standing. We're actually thriving. We had record volume. So again, it's easy to get sucked into, I want to trade with XYZ. They're worth so much money. They've done so well. Well, it could all flip on a dime. If you don't have the right people running the show with the right risk posture, it all goes down the drain very quickly, as we saw 2 months ago.
Yeah, definitely. I think you touched on a couple of really good points there, just in terms of being nimble, being able to move quickly, and that white glove service. Because like you said, some of these other exchanges, you're not calling anybody. There's no one to call.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Cool. So where could people go to learn more about BlockFills and to connect with yourself?
Sure. Our website is a great place to start, blockfills.com. You can also email us at trade@blockfills.com. So TRADE@blockfills.com. My personal email address is my name.lastname@blockfills.com. So that's Eddy, EDDY .Sfeir, S for Sam, F for Frank, EIR @blockfills.com. Any of those, and we'd be happy to connect.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eddy. We'll plug those in the show notes, and really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate the opportunity.